He's always just that acumen, like defending.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on.
Thank you very much for that, Ian Wright. Like the big man just said there, people deluded. I'm back again. Appreciative of all of you lot tuned in and that support my content. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Pay close attention to the videos popping up while this video is going on so you can get your more fixes where DG's content is concerned. Now, as you know, Arsenal send a bag of loan players out on loan. There's obviously mixed success. I don't believe there's such thing as a bad loan where these young players are concerned. They're out in the real world of football, learning mistakes and things like that. Other players are doing better, other players are doing worse. But again, you know, it's a long period of being a footballer. It's very short when you sit there and turn around and your career's done before a blink of an eye. But, you know, very, very rarely does a player go out like that and it just stays like that forever. I don't think there's a single player that hasn't had hardships, whether they've gone on loan or not, people. As I said, offer your opinions and things. Now, any other games these young players play / have played, I'll update you again. There's no way in God's green earth I can be across everything. This is just my thoughts across what I've seen and all of those things. So if I share my screen with you lot and stop delaying people, we're starting from bottom to top. As you can see here, you know, Nathan's gone out on loan to League One side Accrington Stanley. And yeah, he's finally got significant minutes after obviously that's meant to actually be red. You know, you should really check this and I should really sort it out. But he got 59 minutes in the 3-0 L against Lincoln City. He then got 20 minutes against Cheltenham Town in the 0-0 draw. He came on for a minute in the 2-0 defeat to Wickham. Obviously against Forest Green Rovers, he got 71 minutes and he helped his team obviously get a 2-1 victory. So it's nice to see the 20-year-old going out on loan, playing men's senior football. And I'm sure if you follow him on social media, you know, you've seen a couple of the kicks he's been left by a couple of players. So it's welcome to the real league, where the real world where football's concerned. As I always say, it's lovely for these young players because I feel whatever team you're at, I don't think under 21s football really develops these players or really past the point develops them or really challenges them. And for someone like Nathan, stronger than everyone, faster than everyone, very decisive, he's not going to play against the opponents that are going to cause him problems, really, whether they're stronger, faster speed of thought. You know, if you make, for all these young players, if you make mistakes mistakes happen. But if you make mistakes at under 21s level, you're not necessarily punished or understand the ramifications. People are fighting for their jobs, promotion, relegation, all of these sort of things. And what I like about these players going out on loan, it shows bravery because nobody cares that you play for Arsenal. If you play for Arsenal, that means more of an expectation. You need to earn the right to play. Where at 21's level, you might have a wobble in 2-3 games. First team football, you get dropped because managers' jobs are on the line. So big up Nathan doing his thing after joining in Jan. Scrolling from top to from bottom to top, people, as you can see, it's not really kind there. Scrolling out a bit, Tyler Ferran's gone on loan to League Two side Hartlepool Town, and I think, you know, he's been given a good introduction to League Two football. You know, coming through Arsenal system where the ball's on the floor, the ball is in the air all the time in League Two, and at times, naturally, he struggled at times, but he's also done well. He's got 6 appearances to his name. He played in the 1-1 draw against Tranmere. As you can see in my notes, I think he made some good interceptions. I think he found it tough with the direct balls forward at times, but ultimately he did all right. He got 90 minutes. He then got 58 minutes in the 3-3 draw against Walsall. And he also got 90 minutes in the 1-0 L to Newport, people. And he also played against Wimbledon, which was also a draw. I think that was a game where he learned a lot because I think there was a dodgy, somewhat attempted clearance in the first half from him. But other than that, he had a decent showing. He was unfortunate, better yet, not to score as well with a header of his own. I think he made a number of good defensive actions, defensive headers and defensive clearances. And I think it was overall a good team performance from Hartlepool to come back from behind, if I can remember correctly, and snatch a point. So big up our young players. Kiddo, Tyler Hart and Billy Vinger have gone on loan to Derby. You know, I assume they'd be playing in the first team. Probably, I don't know why they've gone on loan and playing for the 21s. Maybe they're not ready for first team football. Maybe it was one where neither player is getting enough football at under 21s level, so they've gone to a team where they could. Both of them currently have 3 appearances to their names playing for Derby's under 21s. Where both are concerned, probably Kiddo Taylor. You know, I'm sure you saw his interview where he said last year he wanted to go out on loan and kick on. You know, I remember a few years ago, he's probably our player of the season at under 21s level. He's not had an easy time with injuries, but hopefully he can get back to showing his quality, people. Moving away from that, as you can see in this picture, you know, Patrick Vieira, you sent you Lokonga, look after him, and he is looking after him. As you can see via this copied and paste, my goals are to find myself back to the Sambi that I've been when I arrived at Arsenal. As I always say, when I look at Sambi Lokonga, whether he's going to be a player here or not, I think the best thing he can do is control his emotions and mentally recognize that, you know, one good game don't make me a good player, one bad game doesn't make me a bad player. I do think he's a bit, I don't know the way to put it, but a bit of a softer character. And I think, you know, as much as I got sympathy for that, being an Arsene Wenger baby, this is the real world, really. You've got to show your quality. And I do think he's showing little bits and pieces of looking more confident over there at Crystal Palace. He obviously played against Liverpool. I think he was neat on the ball, fairly progressive in midfield, and looked fairly assured in the moments he played. You know, terrible day at the office against Aston Villa for Crystal Palace. I feel he got 81 minutes. Looked a bit better when there was a tactical tweaking things with Patrick Vieira, and it looked like a more solid and narrow three-man midfield. He had 4 tackles, but he completed all of them, and he had a 95% pass rate. And actually at Crystal Palace, he's passing the ball a lot forward better. And definitely the last, I can't remember the period, but he had 2 appearances in a row and he did very well. I think him and his midfield teammates, like the whole team, they were overran against Villa, really. And it was a crazy game. I'm sure you've seen the highlights or match of the day or whatever. He got 18 minutes in the 2-1 defeat to Man United. He was a late sub. He played in the draw against Brighton. He got 34 minutes. And he also played against Brentford, where another draw where he got 63 minutes. Minutes are currency. Minutes probably would have been hard to come by at Arsenal because you do have the luxury of Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Fabio Vieira, all options to play in the 8. Direct competition. Obviously, he's not getting ahead of Granit Xhaka for what he's given to Arsenal at first team level. No chance right now of playing ahead of Thomas Partey. The same goes for Jorginho. If El Nene was fit, it would probably be even worse for him. So go out there and get minutes and put yourself in the shop window, either for Mikel Arteta to utilize you next season, or for Patrick Vieira and Crystal Palace to take you on loan again, or buy you again, or go somewhere else, people. So yeah, big up Sambi Lokonga. He's got 5 appearances to his name, and as you can see with my notes, I do believe he is growing in confidence. Now Marquinhos has 2 appearances to his name at Norwich. He had a debut to remember, people, in the 2-0 victory against Cardiff. He played just under an hour, 59 minutes. He got 1 goal and 1 assist. You know, really the assist, it was an assist, but, you know, his fellow Brazilian lad, I can't remember the Norwich guy's name, but he's played it to him on the edge of the area, essentially. It's about 20, 25 yards out, and he's absolutely hit it. You get it as you could take it, but you know, it was one where, yeah, it's technically an assist, but that man had a lot to do. Either way, I think he looked confident. He took his men on. He's exciting the place. I think, you know, credit has to be given so far to Arsenal and the loan manager, because Ben Napier, I believe, because we're picking some good loans, and it looks like Norwich is a good place for him. He's got Hernandez. Can't remember the guy's lad, but there's an ex-Brazilian lad at Norwich. They play decent football. I think it's a good home for Marquinhos to get his confidence, get some consistency, and see where we're at. Because right now there is no competition for Bukayo Saka on that right-hand side. You never know. Look at what a loan in the Championship did for Smith Rowe. And then you look at Balogun's loan at Middlesbrough compared to Reims. Everybody's journey is different per se, people. His goal, I like the goal. It weren't the most glamorous of goals, but I like it because plays on the left-hand side. He's thinking. Football is about thinking. He's got into the box. It's a lovely low-driven ball across. It's missed everyone, including Norwich and Cardiff players. And he's tapped home. Dream debut, goal and assist. That's why you're brought to Norwich. You know, they don't care that you play for Arsenal. They're trying to do whatever they're trying to do in the division, in the Championship. They see a winger. You want goals, assists. You want excitement. And I think he had a positive performance on that right-hand side. So big up to him. He only got a minute or so in the 3-2 victory against Millwall as well. So there's nothing really of note there, people. But yeah, I mean, the numbers are good, you know. Only Reece Nelson in the Arsenal team's probably got a better minutes to goal ratio. He's played 60 minutes officially, you know, across 2 appearances, and he's got a goal and assist. So take your chances and hopefully get some more starts. I've been very impressed of recent by Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, I don't want to be that guy. I don't know if Mikel Arteta deems it's time to sell him and things, but you know, he's had Southampton are fighting for their lives. They've had a couple of managers now at their club. It's a turbulent period. And I think of recent, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is putting in some very good performances against Chelsea. Again, he had a very good performance. I don't know why I haven't got it to hand here, but I'm sure you all saw him clear the effort off the line from Raheem Sterling. Southampton put in a shift against them. That's actually, well, it's not meant to say Southampton. I think that is actually the Chelsea notes. So apologies, I really should check this, but he's got 18 appearances to his name. At the time, I thought the Chelsea would go as far as to say that's the benchmark. He looks more confident. He looks more consistent. That's what a loan's designed to do. Put yourself in the shop window to be another Hale lender as part of Arsenal on a regular basis, or go to Southampton or go somewhere else, really, because if Southampton get relegated, probably not going to get bought. And he has obviously been wanted by a couple of clubs. We've rejected offers from Wolves and Everton in the past for him. Against Leeds, people, again, I think he had a busy afternoon. I think he had a lot of attacks down his side, but he coped fairly well. He was beaten by Junior Firpo to the ball for the goal. But other than that, I think he put in a solid performance. Similar, like Leicester, I think he's finally setting into the team. I think he, another promising game from him. I think he coped very well with Cassandra and Barnes down his side, which you're going to need to do that if Southampton are going to get anything. Against Wolves, they lost. He was kind of playing a bit of a hybrid centre-back, right back role. And I mean, indirectly at times, Tomiyasu, when he plays right back, not so much Benjamin White. But when we go into that 3-2-5 kind of formation off the ball at Arsenal from periods, Ben White kind of becomes a bit narrow when he's not overlapping Bukayo Saka. And obviously you look on the left-hand side, if Tierney goes, you can play left back. Maybe there's a little role for you and you can show your versatility. As we know, he can play in midfield. But I think he did okay, really. And he started a good move for Sulemana, who almost bagged as well. I think Ainsley's of late really putting in some performances. Shout out to Akinola. His future probably lies away from Arsenal, but he's got 26 appearances for his club so far, and he's played 90 minutes in the notes I've got across there. 2-1 victories against Gateshead and Southend United, people. So, yeah, Muller, unfortunately, he finally started getting into the team after struggling for minutes, people. At one point, he played 5 90-minute games in a row. He's not been involved in the last 5. I don't know if that's a tactical decision or if he's injured, people, to my knowledge. So I'll leave that with you. Mika Beref has been out for 6 weeks / 2 months, people. He was enjoying life prior to that. He came off the bench recently on his return from injury and got 2 minutes in the defeat to PSV. He also played prior to his injury, obviously, in the 0-0 victory. Well, how can it be a 0-0 victory? In the 0-0 draw, against Hervavine, where he got 70 minutes. And then in the 2-0 defeat to FC Volendam, he got 72 minutes. And against Sparta Rotterdam, he got 19 minutes. So keep doing what you're doing, Mika Beref. And again, injuries are part and parcel. Now, Brooke Norton-Coffey has 10 appearances at his new club, Coventry, after switching colours in Jan. Still a bit too raw for me to break into Arsenal's first team. There's a lot of qualities, and we do need to remember he's 19 years of age. I just think he needs to polish up a real lot, hell of a lot, to make it at Arsenal Football Club. But he's a good player and he's going to have a good future. He got 20 minutes against Huddersfield in the 4-0 victory for Coventry. He also played against Sunderland. At times he's played right mid and right back and, playing in the back three. I think he was involved in the second goal. He grew into the game. He had a good battle against Sunderland's Jack Clark down his side. He did try to provide an outlet going forward. I think against Rotherham, his former club, I think it was a so-so performance from him. In his side's 1-0 victory against Millwall, I'd say that's his best game at Coventry so far. I think he forced a good save 30 minutes in from their keeper, and he was a constant threat down the right. He then started, well, this is not in order clearly, but he then, in my notes, he obviously, when we're looking at the Preston draw, end product letting him down in the final third, if I'm completely honest with you. And against Norwich, people, 4-2, which was an L for them. I think the third goal, he has to do better to block. I think, he did well with a good cross, if I can remember rightly, to set up the second goal for Coventry. But once again, as my note said, probably a bit too raw and unpolished and unseasoned at this time. And I think he's actually got 25-30 championship appearances. So that's good to have under your belt. As I always say, as a young player, you should, in my opinion, chase 100 career appearances. He's a long way to go. And, I know in this current day and age, everybody's the next star. Everybody's the next this. He's 19. He's very young. I saw this online in relation to Brooke, people, and I assume this is from a Coventry fan, but they said 10 games in, Brooke Norton-Coffey. Very much a young player looking to find his feet in senior football. It has been 10 games of ups and downs for Brooke Norton-Coffey. At his best, Norton-Coffey's ability to beat defenders with the ball and get the team up the pitch provides an outlet wide that Coventry City haven't really had for much of the season. At his worst, Norton-Coffey's defensive struggles are an area for opponents to exploit, and I do think at times he plays in areas where he doesn't need to. I don't think his touch is the best, so I think he can improve defensively. I don't think he necessarily excels going forward. He's not a bad player, but it's about defining him. If I had to compare him to someone, I'd probably say Wan-Bissaka. But for young players, the best thing you can do is install consistency, and this is why these young men are going out on loan, people. Again, Norton Coffey's defensive struggles are an area for opponents to exploit. That's nothing direct to him. 19-year-old playing in the championship, any team's going to try and get him, particularly when combined with naive play with the ball in his own half. While Norton Coffey hasn't been an instant upgrade at right wing back that we had hoped for in Jan, there may still be time left this season for him to come into his own. If it is Norton Coffey's dribbling ability that is very much his standout attribute, there is something, he's a very good athlete, I'd say. There's something slightly unorthodox about his dribbling style, where it often feels that he doesn't quite have the ball under control, which can somehow suck defenders towards him as he then nips past them. When Coventry City can get Norton Coffey up the pitch and with space to build a head of steam against opponents, he can be a useful outlet for the team. However, Norton Coffey's naivety in his own half, kind of what I'm saying, specifically his positional play and lack of awareness as to how to use the ball under pressure, has made it difficult for the youngster to fully make use of his dribbling talent in areas that hurt the opponents. There are raw ingredients there for Brooke Norton Coffey to become a good attacking right back, but he isn't quite there yet. As someone who has been brought in to raise the bar in his position, Norton Coffey hasn't quite been able to do that on a consistent basis. He did join in Jan, turbulent period for anyone to join a new club on loan or permanently. There have been a handful of promising moments and performances to suggest that he's worth being patient with. Norton Coffey has largely been getting better with each appearance for the club and may soon be in place to be that consistent threat on the right side that had been hoped for when he signed. And again, he's 19. He signed a new deal at Arsenal. These are the trials and tribulations that young players must go through, really. So, yeah, big up to him, really. Big up to him. Miguel Aziz, promising start to life at Wigan. He did get an FA ban for playing with the flair and whatnot. He has played a couple of appearances, forgive me if I'm wrong, for Wigan's under 21s. And, he had a tough spell out there in Spain on loan. He had a tough spell at Portsmouth. It's looking like a tough spell at Wigan at the moment as well. Again, men's football, men's senior football, women's too, but relation to this, men's senior football, managers get sacked. He's had 2 managers there already. I believe they've got Sean Maloney now. I could be wrong. Previously, Kolo Toure was sacked. Previously, his manager said, Miguel is competing to be in the squad. It's just in that position. I've been really pleased with Max Powell's performances and his understanding of that position. So he's showing you competencies on the pitch and he's showing his understanding. That's where Miguel Aziz has to go to. We've also got Chris and Tom Naylor, who have also done well. And when players do that, I have to stick with them. Fair enough. The manager's got to get 3 points. So he's listed 3 players that he believes in that position are ahead of Miguel Aziz. This is where he now needs to build. As I said, there's no such thing as a bad loan. I think the 3 clubs in Portsmouth, in Wigan at the moment, in Ibiza, hasn't been the loans designed from Arsenal. But there's no such thing as a bad loan. These experiences will make him better. In relation to the 20-year-old cutting his teeth at Arsenal, you can never rule out anyone, but it probably beginning to feel that it's not adapting. Miguel has to train hard, be a good teammate, and fight for his spot in the 18. I'm not saying he isn't, but devil's advocate, if your manager said that about you and he said train hard, are you training hard enough to play devil's advocate? Are you a good teammate on and off the field, the devil's advocate? And why aren't you in the 18-man squad? What has the other 18 got collectively that you don't? What has the 3, 4, 5, however many midfielders got that you don't possess? Go out there and get that, because it's not how it starts, it's how it ends. Marcelo Flores, apparently Arsenal, I'm sure you saw the rumours because we did cover it, apparently have exercised a 2-year contract extension in the 19-year-old's contract to keep him at the Emirates. Apparently there's rumours he will regardless stay in Spain for another year to get a Spanish passport. He's made 14 appearances in all comps. He's been on the bench in the last 18. So in terms of minutes being currency, not really happened for him. He got 57 minutes against Menendez in their 1-0 L. So hopefully it looks better for him. But again, this is what happens. Ryan Elabusu, again, for Kilmarnock, they've kind of been struggling. They sit 11th. They're winless in 4 games. He had a very tough day in the 3-1 defeat to Rangers, hooked at halftime. Where the Ibrox, that will do that to you. To my notes, he's obviously got 49 minutes in the 1-0 victory over Dundee. He also played in the 3-1 defeat to Livingston, where he got 90 minutes. They lost 2-0 to Hibernian. He got 13. They drew with Motherwell. He came on and got 5 minutes. So keep doing your thing over there in Scotland. Agongbo, it's not really happening for you. He's very much a squad player. Crawley are fighting for their lives. He's got 12 appearances, people. He's only played 80+ minutes 6 times, people. To my notes of relevance, I think he came off the bench yesterday. So anything that's missed, we will circle this again for the loan report next time. But to my notes, he played against Northampton. They lost 2-0. He was a late sub. At the time, it was his team's 5th defeat in a row, and they're currently fighting relegation from League 2. He got 32 minutes in such. Arthur Okonkwo did well at Crewe. He's now gone to Stuttgart in the Austrian league, in the Austrian Bundesliga league, to now take the next steps. He's got 31 senior appearances this season to his name, which he wasn't going to get being third choice keeper at Arsenal. 26 at Crewe and 5 at Counting at Stuttgart. He got his second clean sheet in Austria in their latest win against Austria Linstenu, where they won 2-0. So, yeah, he's building on his experience, man. Unfortunately, Tyrese John-Jules has had a terrible time with injuries, but he might be getting back to full fitness and being in contention. At the time when I copied and pasted this from what his gaffer said at Ipswich, look, he's had a fairly major surgery on his hamstring, so you never like to put exact deadlines on it. It's step by step. At the moment, he's working with the fitness coaches on the grass, and that's going well. And you can imagine Arsenal are liaising with Ipswich in relation what to do. The first step has to be getting back into training with the squad, which is a couple of weeks away, and from there we'll make assessments on when's going to be the right time to reintroduce him to the team. So hopefully he can have a strong end to the season, people. Omar Rekic, who like Miguel Aziz, went over there to play football at Wigan. Maloney said at the time we'll give Omar until the last moment. We'll see on that. He's probably looking like 50-50. He has a slight adductor issue, and we have to give him a bit of time. He didn't play a lot of football before he came here. Obviously, it was a terrible loan spell in terms of minutes in Holland, but he has to show me this week he's fit to play on Saturday. And at the time, he's played 3 times for Wigan, which is better than Miguel Aziz at this moment in time after building on what he's doing. It started well for him. He hasn't been involved in the last few weeks, Miguel. But in relation to Omar, he got 55 minutes in the draw against Blackburn. They also drew to Birmingham. He got 58 minutes. And that's actually meant to say West Brom, where he got 90 minutes in that defeat. Definitely not Wigan. Check your notes, people. So yeah, Alex Kirk's doing quite well in Scotland, in my opinion. The young centre back. He's been ever present in the R United team. Started and finished the last 7 games. He's got 23 appearances in all comps to his name, 19 in the league, and has 2 goals and 2 assists, which isn't quite bad. So shout out to them, people. Austin Trusty, kind of going off the boil a bit, but he's probably, if we was to say lone player of the year, he's defo in contention, people. I feel in the 1-1 draw against Wigan, he didn't put a foot wrong. I feel in the 4-3 victory against Swansea, 2 late goals saw his side turn it around. He scored, I believe. He had a busy day. I do think there was a lot of gaps in the Brum team, and he was firmly in the trenches, people. He's showing on loan. He can play in a 3 or in a 4, at left back or at centre back, and he's having a solid season. At the time of making those notes, Birmingham were winless in 5. So these are the things that happens with senior football. He played in the 2-0 victory against West Bromwich Albion. He played left back, did very well against the experienced Albrighton. He was unlucky with a header not to score. He also featured in the 2-0 defeat to Cardiff. He played left back, didn't really receive any tests from me, and it's firmly a 6 out of 10. He played in his side's 2-1 L to Huddersfield. He was again unlucky not to score. I think his crosses could have been better, and he did well to deny a goal-scoring effort as well. Against Sunderland, I think he had a terrible first half. I think he found it tough in the half spaces when called outside to defend. Didn't look over his shoulder for Sims to score. Sims, who's obviously back at Everton now, if I can remember correctly. So you can see the last time we did a loan report, I promised to get them more consistent for you lot, people. Didn't do enough to stop that lovely Amad Diallo's goal at the time as well, people. It was a cracking effort from him a few weeks ago, to put it nicely. Who is this about? Charlie Patino, who's, played 20-odd times more than he and Blackpool, and Arsenal expected, such as Mick McCarthy's comment suggested. He had a tough day against Swansea. He was sent off, people, and I like that. Charlie's a pretty footballer, very much an Arsenal footballer, and he's never going to be a rugged sort of player, but he's not afraid and has never cowered away from putting his foot in. Probably a bit naive, 2 silly challenges, probably didn't need to do. I think for the second yellow, it was honest intentions, but again, naiveties, people. Still a quality player. Still think there's a pathway for him at Arsenal. In the draw against Rotherham, I think he came off the bench and showed commitment. He didn't hide off and on the ball. At the time, Blackpool were 1 win in 16. I don't know if that's right, but they were in a tough patch. I don't think that's right, people. Again, check your notes. Lately, he was on the bench in the draw against Burnley, 0-0, and he didn't play in the 3-1 defeat to Reading, people. So yeah, man, big up Charlie Patino. He's doing what he needed to do. Against Blackburn in the 1-0 L, people, he showed for the ball, did not run. did not run in that regards, but gave the ball away a bit too easily, far too often for me in that game by his standards. Mick McCarthy said he's a young lad. He was just a bit rash, but he was trying to win the ball. He has a right go at it. He's a young man, and sometimes he doesn't always get it right. He might press and get played past, but in the first half, he lost it in front of us about 20 yards into their half and won it back in the 18-yard box at the other side of the pitch. I said, if you can do that, you'll do it. You'll do for me. Big up the gaffer for that. Again, apparently the target of games was around 15. Mick McCarthy said, that is a total which has been nearly doubled now with the appearances against the Millers, and the Blackpool boss was pleased with what he saw from Patino. He was excellent. Charlie needed a break. Apparently when he came here, 15 games was probably the target, whether it was starts or sub appearances. I think he's had 26 or 27 now. It becomes a bit of a plod on with the league. You're 19, it's tough, but I thought he was fresh and bright when he came on. I was delighted with him. So he's getting the gaffer's faith, really and truly. Balogun's done well on loan at Reims, as you lot know. Probably the player of the loan spell campaign at the moment. 27 appearances, 16 goals in all comps, people. He got his first career hat-trick in the 4-0 victory against Lorient. He missed the penalty against Nice after winning it, people, in their draw there. And his manager offered words of encouragement. He said, Balogun is very disappointed, very, very disappointed. But I told him at the end of the match that it happens and that I don't care. It's not the end of the world. The best players in the world, be it Zinedine Zidane or Thierry Henry, have missed a penalty at some point. It's part of football. Henry even tried to get an assist for Perez a few years ago for a pen. So it's all right. But I like the fact, in a nice way, Balogun is hard on himself because he wants to do better. So we'll have to see in that regards. But yeah, he bagged against PSG, bagged against Troyes in their 4-0 victory there. Against Toulouse in the 3-0 victory, I think there was no goals, but he's doing quite well. And I think in that game, I saw more. I'm seeing more consistency. I'm seeing more confidence from him. And I think his general play isn't quite there yet for what Mikel Arteta wants, looking at what, Trossard, Eddie at this moment in time, and Jesus do. But I think in that game, I saw a different side of him. And he also played in the 1-0 victory against AC as well, people. Moving up with that, Nuno Tavares, a loose cannon. He's had mixed performances. He has had some good defensive performances. He's also put in some terrible ones. And Nuno hasn't really convinced me. I know you can go forward. I know you can be an attacking threat. I know you're a loose cannon. You used to be a winger. Defensively, I'm yet to really hear about consistent, competent displays, and that's not really there, to the point where if you look at this, people, Marseille are probably sending him back to Arsenal. If we pause that because copyright issues. Nuno Tavares is no longer OM's priority. Nuno Tavares is giving the management of Marseille headaches, capable of achieving very high performances. He's very inconsistent. Sometimes he's brilliant, sometimes he's terrible. The Portuguese man can also completely miss his meeting connected to alternating current. Whatever that means, Google Translate not being helpful there. The player on loan from Arsenal could see his adventure with Marseille end this summer. According to L'Equipe, the Marseille management is less and less interested in keeping Tavares for next season. If Arsenal decide to put him on the market in the next summer transfer window, it's unclear whether he'll be first choice. The Portuguese, therefore, has weeks ahead to convince the Marseille leaders, and he was terrible against Reims, if I'm completely honest with you, very terrible. As it says there, in their 1-0 victory against Reims, again, apologies for any mistakes, he was terrible defensively. I think he allowed the Rennes players far too much freedom down his side. I think he was disjointed positionally and tactically. I think he was extremely wasteful on the ball. I think he did well in the draw against Lyon, to be fair. Against Nantes, I think he had a very good game, provided a consistent threat down his side, did very well to find under, I believe, for one of the goals. In the 3-1 defeat to Nice, I think he was terrible for the second goal. The third goal came down his side, positioning once again out of place, lost the ball far too much, not good enough 1v1 defensively, and he only won 1 out of his 10 ground duels. No matter how much the modern day is improving about fullbacks offering an attacking threat down the flanks and being inverted, you still need to be able to defend, really and truly. Against PSG, he's caught, as I said, I think he said he was causing so many problems going forward. He once again was shaky defensively. He was put on the right, but Mendes destroyed him. Nothing he could do there. It weren't the best performances from anyone, really. Lost the ball 20 times, created a couple of good chances early on. Once again, still shaky defensively. In the 3-2 victory against Toulouse, he was much improved in the second half, and he scored a clever, low-driven finish, if I can remember correctly there, people. So with that, that appears to be the end of my lone report, people. Anything I've missed out, any games that they play, again, I'm no expert, but any points of view and any games I'm able to catch, I'll provide these for you lot. Please let me know your thoughts on everybody. Obviously, where this particular lone report is concerned is positive news for, I believe, Balogun, Charlie Patino, in particular, Marquinhos, Ainsley, Maitland-Niles, Austin Trusty. Obviously, you know, you want to see a bit more from Balogun, if I haven't said that. Want to see a bit more from Tavares. Some players are playing more than others. But again, everyone's going through different stages. These are things that some players at Arsenal Football Club find themselves in right now. There's some players that are probably doing everything right and not playing. There's some players that haven't taken opportunities. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts. Please hit the like button, people. It boosts our channel and grows the platform. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to turn your notifications on. At the time of making this video, we will be watching Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain live from 7:20. We will be watching Sporting Lisbon against Arsenal tomorrow live from 4:45 because we kick off at 5:45. And whether it's watch-alongs, Arsenal opinions, footballing opinions, make sure you're checking out the other videos. Appreciative once again of all the support you lot give me. Appreciate you lot for tuning in. Again, probably ran longer than I thought, but again, let me let you lot get out of here. One love. You lot stay blessed, stay safe. One love for the support.
There's always just that active and defending.
I think it's like